Aries Ascendant, Aries Rising. This is your June 2020 eclipse video. We're going to be going over the areas of your life that are going to be changing. We're going to talk about 4 main areas of your life where you can expect changes, and dependent upon if you have matching degrees that I'm going to give out here, and I'm going to give out the dates of all these things, will tell you how much of a change, like how strongly of a change this will be in your life. For some of you, I know you've been waiting for change, right? You're like me, you're like, thank God finally change is here. I've been waiting for like 2 years, please bring me change. For others, not so much. We're like, oh God, please no more change, I'm done. The first 6 months of 2020, hell no, I don't want to go, I just want to get out of here. Let's find out, right? Let's ease the fears and find out if there's any matching degrees in your chart at these degrees. And if not, that means, you know, you're going to just kind of coast, although you're going to be part of a bigger change that the rest of us will be going through. But if you have degrees that are close to the degrees I'm going to give out, and when I say close, we're going to use a 2-degree orb because this is an eclipse video. And you always want to do a 2-degree orb before the eclipse, 2-degree orb after. So as an example, if I say we're going to have a 0 degrees eclipse point, that means the 2 degrees before 0 degrees would be 28 degrees because a sign has 30 degrees. So 28 to the 30, right? That's 2 degrees. And then the 2 degrees following, which would be 2 degrees Cancer. I should have said that in the beginning. As an example, a 0 degrees Cancer eclipse. So that would be 28 degrees in Gemini, and then 2 degrees in Cancer. Okay, I hope that was clear. And let's talk about the 4 areas of your life that are going to be affected. 4 areas. These areas for you are going to be transformational because they're going to be affecting the way you think. They're going to be transformational because they're going to be affecting the way you feel. They're going to be transformational because they're going to be affecting your belief systems. They're going to be transformational because they're going to be affecting your goals. So let's dive deep, Aries, into your all astrology. Actually, the first thing we're going to talk about is the sign of Mercury. We got to talk about that for the planet Mercury. We have to talk about that. Mercury's leaving Gemini energy. At the very butt end of May, Mercury goes into Cancer energy. So to understand the change, Mercury, which was in Gemini, Mercury rules Gemini, so it actually does really well there. It moves really fast there. Mercury has wings, it's air, and it's quick, right? And it's about information. That's why the sign Gemini and Mercury, we look at that and whenever we see it, we think internet, we think social media, because there's rapid amounts of exchange of information. Now, the theme of 2020 is information versus truth, all right, right? Fact or crap. So it's understanding and learning how to decipher, learning how to discern through the stuff, through the not so good things, through the muck, and figure out, okay, is this worthy? Is this really information that's valid, that's good, that I can use going forth? Or is it really like, you know, some satire, sarcasm, entertainment, whatever it is? Mercury focused on Gemini energy was all about talking, thinking, and communicating because it's information. And so we do a lot of thinking with Mercury. Mercury has everything to do with how we think. So looking and finding out where Mercury is, where your natal Mercury is in your chart, tells you a lot about how you think and the things that you think about, because that's where your natal Mercury is. And so that means that's where you focus your attention. Mercury moving out of Gemini, also remember the people that are in Gemini energy, those folks that represent Gemini energy is siblings, people in your immediate environment, your immediate surroundings, so it can be coworkers. It's our neighbors, it's our community. It's the salesman, right? It's the talker, the thinker, the speaker, the teacher, the learner. It's the student as well, because it's all about information. So anytime there's this crossing of information, this flow, this give and take, and you think about the people that are involved in that, Gemini energy, because it's like the 3rd house placement in the chart, it represents when we're in school, right? An early child. It's when we first start getting our first taste of, okay, I want you to learn your ABCs, your 1, 2, 3s, okay? So Gemini energy is this super crafty and informative because we're learning, but then we're doing something with our learning and we're using our hands. It's like, you know, they say you learn something not just by rote and memorization, but when you can apply what you have learned. And so that's another aspect of the Gemini energy, okay? Remember, Gemini energy does emphasize our lungs. It's another part of our body and not just our hands. So when we look at your chart and we want to figure out where was Mercury at when it was in your Gemini, you had Gemini in your third house because you're an Aries rising, right? So for you, pretty much everything lines up perfectly. So understanding your third house energy, again, talking, thinking, speaking, communicating, relating, and sales, right? Very much so. And you'd be great at that because you've got Gemini there and you may have planets there, which would help you. Now, if we move on, next house, fourth house, this is where your sign, this is where Mercury's moving to your fourth house. This changes Mercury. It's not so much about selling. It's not so much about talking and relating. It becomes more about, well, it is still about talking and relating because it's Mercury, but it's more about what can I talk and relate about because it's Cancer. And what is Cancer? It's my home. It's my family. It's my emotions. It's what I feel. Cancer is all about my tribe. It's who I connect with, who I put in the bucket when I think of my family, who I want to consider family, because it doesn't have to be blood relatives, right? It's all about family heritage and lineage. It's all about my ancestors. It's family. So many times the sign of Cancer, that fourth house, the planet Moon rules Cancer energy, represents your past. Mercury going there is a big indicator of what we're going to be thinking about, right? So all those words I just used, thinking about the past, past feelings, past people who used to be in our life, people who used to be part of our family. This could be past lives as well. This is going to be key for a lot of people. A lot of past life releasing going on because we are going to have an eclipse in this location. So this takes me to the next part. We're going to go and discuss the 4 areas of your life, starting with the first eclipse. The first eclipse happens on June 5th. The June 5th eclipse is at 16 degrees Sagittarian energy. So Sagittarian energy is all up in your 9th house. Okay, your 9th house is what you believe. It's your faith, it's your religion, it's your spirituality. Having a degree, 16 degrees Sagittarian, you want to look to see if you have something there. If you don't know, comment below. I can help you figure that out. If you have your own chart, if you have a basic understanding of astrology and you're looking and you're like, I'm not sure, or there's this thing there, I don't know what it means, but it says I have something close to that degree. Remember, we're using a 2-degree orb. So if this is at 16 degrees Sag, that means we want to look and see a 2 degrees before or 2 degrees after. So that would give us a range anywhere from 14 degrees Sagittarius to 18 degrees Sagittarius. And this, again, your 9th house is all about your thinking, okay? But not thinking surfacey because it's Sagittarian. It's more about, it's a continuation of learning. And could also be teaching. Because Sagittarian energy is that teaching energy. It's where you are constantly seeking information and knowledge, and you keep seeking and you take in so much and you just keep going and driving and looking. It's the searcher of truth. Truth is a big thing for the 9th house. Law, all about understanding, how there are rules, but then we understand why those rules exist. And we understand the ethics behind it. We understand the equality of it. We understand why it is so important to have rules to the level of it brings in a philosophy, but it's deeper than a philosophy. It brings about like these humanitarian truths. There are things that are so deep, right? It runs where there are these great humanitarians that we just connect to when we think about these world leaders that we had. We think of Gandhi and we think of MLK, right? We think of all these wonderful leaders who did these great spiritual things, and that energy is there. It's really Jupiter, big time Jupiter, which is the ruler of your 9th house. So the 9th house energy is also long distance journeys, right? It's like getting on an airplane and traveling. The 9th house is foreigners, foreign countries, because it's long distance traveling. We also have, when we think about the 9th house, it's spirituality, religion. It is about going to school and getting additional education. So if you graduated from high school and you're going to take additional learning, you're like, oh, I'm going to go away to school. This is that 9th house stuff. The 9th house area is also going to focus on your belief and faith. What you believe. And we're experiencing a great testing of that. 9th house right now, just so you know, for Aries ascendant, the South Node energy is in this placement for the next 18 months. Why does this matter? It matters because The South Node is what we're letting go of. The South Node is, I've already done that, and I don't need to do that anymore. I've already perfected that. I've already learned what I can learn from that for right now. And so I'm going to this other area of my life, and I'm going to be focusing on that. My choices and decisions are going to be focused around that. And that is in your third house. That's in Gemini. That's where the North Node is. The North Node is all about thinking and relating and speaking. It's all that Mercury energy I spoke about earlier. So getting to the eclipse, the June 5th eclipse, 16 degrees of Sagittarius. An eclipse, it's about endings because it's a full moon eclipse. And so when the full moon happens, it shines a light on something. And so there is a revelation of some sort. There's like this big aha. There's something that's brought to our awareness about our beliefs, right? Because it's in your ninth house. It's about your philosophy on life, your belief, your religion, your spirituality. If you think deep, think about this ninth house. It's very expansive. You know, when we think about law and our beliefs about law, when we think about our spirituality being tested the way it has been, people are rethinking. People are trying to really understand, how does all that apply? You know, does it really make sense with the things we've been going through? And so when there's a revelation, it's you let something go. And normally this type of letting go is typically, it's a letting go that you're able to do because it's like you needed to get that one more piece of information. Like there was just this one thing missing, and it's like you were on the fence, you were teetering. And so when we have this happen, it's this, okay, I'm done. Like, I know that it's time for me to move on from this, is what I'm saying. It's like there's this assistance from the universe where we have this information and it allows us to let go. So again, that ninth house information, all about your spirituality, your higher learning, and about teaching, being the teacher, or going to school and getting more knowledge, getting more skills, and becoming the student again. But traveling long distances to be the student, again, this is pretty much a lot of this you're letting go, because the South Node is there. So that explains why there's a change in belief about all of that. There's a release in all of that. So this takes us to the next eclipse. It's like 2 weeks later, okay? The next eclipse is the 21st of June, and this is at 0 degrees Cancer energy. So this is your fourth house, right? This is what I was talking about earlier, your Mercury, your planet Mercury moving into your fourth house, and a big focus coming on family. Family, my lineage, my history, my past, anybody who you had ever put into that bucket of being a family member. When Mercury is there, it's thinking about this a lot, okay? Mercury does a retrograde in this area of your life too. So you're really going to be, retrograde simply means I need to rethink this. And you're rethinking because when Mercury goes retro, when it moves backwards, it gets some piece of information it didn't have before. And then it picks it up and then it goes forward. It moves forward. And when it gets there, yes, I understand they don't really move backwards and forward. I get that. I just wanted to make sure everyone understood that. But the way we describe it is that we're going backwards because we revisit areas that we've already been through. It's like a retrograde zone, right? It's like for some reason, we're rehashing something. It's like a rerun. You know, I was trying to explain that to somebody the other day. It's like a rerun. And when you see it the second time, you know, you watch a movie for a second time, all of a sudden you see things you didn't see the first time. And so you have a better understanding of something. And that's what this retrograde is. And it's in matters of family, matters of your past. And remember, it's tied to your emotions, things that gave you emotional satisfaction. This is a cardinal eclipse, by the way. Cardinal means a new beginning. Okay, so we're getting universal support. Okay, we were all going to be able to let go of something that we were holding on to. There was emotional baggage about our lineage. All right, now remember, if you believe in past lives, this is more than most definitely stuff that your soul had been carrying on, memory. And it's all this that can go, that's no longer needed. It needed to hold on to it because it needed to process and it needed to learn. And now it's done. It said, you know what? We have no more use for this, and it's going to be released. It's going to let go. So this is great support we're getting, especially considering all the losses that have happened. Over 100,000 lives, right, in 2020. In 2020, we're only 6 months into 2020. So it's amazing when we think about it like that, like, whoa. And so these were somebody's brother, somebody's child, somebody's mother, someone's grandma, someone's grandpa, right? Someone's spouse. This was family. This is the healing that we need. We're going to have assistance to let go. Takes me to the next part of your chart. All right, so far we've talked about your third house, right, which is your thinking, your speaking, and your communicating. We've talked about your fourth house. Your fourth house is your family. And now the third eclipse happens in Capricorn energy. And this is at 14 degrees Capricorn, okay? Your Capricorn energy is your 10th house, all right? Your 10th house is your goals and your ambitions in the world. Now, these goals and ambitions, okay, it's how you work, right? Because it's Capricorn energy. So it's places where we have rules and structures set up. But when it's your goals and your aspirations, it's your hopes, it is this place in your life where you express your best. You have so much strength here. And this Capricorn energy allows you to keep on going, right? Keep on driving, keep on climbing. Having an eclipse there at 14 degrees, this is also a release because it's a south node lunar eclipse. So it's a release. We had these work goals, these work ambitions, what I want to do for work. There's something you're releasing. There's some sort of an old goal that you're going to be letting go of. It's Capricorn, 14 degrees. To make this a more complete reading for you, I want you to understand that any of the degrees I've given out, you need to explore the opposite area of your chart of those degrees. When we explore the opposite areas, we understand how this comes out to 4 of your houses in your chart, even though we've only gone through 3 different eclipses. Because the first happened in your 9th house, and the opposite side of that 9th house is your 3rd house energy. So it's your beliefs and your thinking. The next eclipse affected your 4th house. The opposite of your 4th house energy, opposite of your 4th house is your 10th house. So 0 degrees Cancer, the opposite of that is 0 degrees Capricorn. The next eclipse was the July 5th eclipse, and that was at 14 degrees Capricorn, and the opposite of that is 14 degrees Cancer. So that means that we've discussed your 3rd house and your 4th house, and we've discussed your 9th house and your 10th house. So those are the 4 areas of your life. Your thinking, your speaking, your relating, 3rd house, your home, your family, your emotional security, your feelings, that's your 4th house. Then your 9th house, your beliefs, your beliefs about religion, spirituality, your philosophy on life, your beliefs about law. This is a big deal, right, for this year. Your beliefs about traveling long distances, your beliefs about foreign countries, foreign places, and foreign people and languages. This is all the 9th house, your beliefs about your future. Last house was your 10th house. This was a letting go, my ambitions for work, my goals about rules, my goals and my ambitions and about structures in the world, about long-standing structures, about traditions, but traditions that are represented by physical structures. That is very big, right? Because traditions that are represented by long-standing structures. Our banking system, right? We've got physical structures that represent our long-standing structures, banking system in the world. But it's those physical structures, all right? You're changing, you're releasing, you're changing, making room for something new. When we go back to your Capricorn, your Cancer eclipse at 0 degrees in your 4th house, it is a new beginning, okay? The whole idea of that major release coming, like there's a reset switch, it's a global release. It's so that we have room for the new. And so when we think about the new and we think about family, and we think about in a private way, yeah, our own family, right? My mom, my dad, my brothers, my sisters, like that's my family. But on a big scale, it's humanity. Humanity is my family. It is all about evolving and going higher. And there's no higher way than to acknowledge that there is only one race, the human race. Aries Ascendant, I hope this has helped. I hope it wasn't too confusing. You got any questions? Comment below.